From the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com, you're listening to The Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
So I'm going to be using that music here for a while. March 4, 2018, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com, the Bryan and Vinny Show. Sunday here. NWA World Championship Wrestling from almost 20 years ago this week. We're a little bit behind. Doing our best here. This is the show from the week after Starrcade, which we erroneously viewed last week. I don't know what we were thinking. Doing what the fans wanted.
Why was it erroneous?
Because the show wasn't very good. Do you remember the show?
Oh, well, there's that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was like the wrong point in the timeline or something.
No, just wasn't a very exciting show. So anyway, we got the fallout here from Starrcade. They're building some new programs. There's all sorts of excitement happening.
This show felt so fresh because they did the pre-Starrcade holding pattern for what felt like about 6 weeks. And finally, almost everything on the show was new.
And they got rid of Ron Garvin as the champion. I think that's the biggest issue here that we're facing.
That helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, let's get going.
Well, on that note, the first thing they showed was just Ric Flair going to the ring with his music playing. That's it. Nothing else needed to be said.
I thought they were going to show us that Ric Flair video for the 9,000th time.
Nope.
We've seen 80, like twice per show for a year.
Yes. Nope.
I'm over it.
This was just his entrance from Starrcade. He came out playing the 2001 song, wearing his robe. He was the greatest wrestler ever. It was very clear. And if you missed Starrcade and you tuned into this show to see what happened at Starrcade, this entrance alone should have made it very clear Ric Flair won. They go to the announcer, singular, Tony Schiavone working solo this week, and he opens with the big news. Nelson Royal is the new junior heavyweight champion.
That is literally what he started with.
Yes.
I could not even believe my eyes. What's happening over there?
Tony's dropping
Sounds
everything.
like there's an earthquake going on. He heard Nelson Royal won the title and
the world stopped.
Beset with a fit of apoplexy. That's what happened.
So then he did get into all the other title changes at Starrcade, and up stepped Nikita Koloff with 2 TV belts. He said Terry Taylor was one of his best opponents up there, best opponents ever, right up there with Lex Luger and Magnum TA. But now it's time to move on to the Bunkhouse Stampede. He'll have to prepare to fight 20, maybe 25 men in a night. And then he left to go prepare.
You know, what the fuck's going on with this Stampede here? Like, no one knows how many guys are in it. Jim Cornette later does an interview. He has no idea how much money's on the line.
Right.
Like, nobody knows anything about the Stampede.
Part of it is because the Stampede gimmick was there would be a battle royal at the end of every show. And the winners of all the battle royals who go on to the finals.
I see.
So some nights there might be 20.
I forgot about that.
Some nights there might be 25. I did think it was funny that as the show went on, they always added more people to the match. It never went down.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like they're booking on the fly.
It is.
I'm sure they got some sort of plan, but when you watched it, it sounded like they didn't have a plan. Mm-hmm. That's all I got out of this.
The Rock and Roll Express versus Trent Knight and Larry Stevens. We had new generic music for the Rock and Rolls, and I think it may actually have been the music they were using at the time. I think they got their own generic music here.
I had a revelation during this match. So, if you remember, if you watch any of these Rock and Roll Express matches, they always give their opponent something. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Road Warriors don't.
No.
Road Warriors go in there, they smash guys. A lot of guys would go in there and they would just smash guys. I was watching this match and I finally figured it out. It sounds ridiculous, but this is what it was. They would give the jobbers a spot so that they could then do a great tag team, double team spot.
Yes.
They were learning to be a great team while doing these squash matches.
Sure.
Do you remember when Dave Bautista was the Leviathan in Ohio Valley?
I do.
He's a big, jacked up, freaky guy, going in there just smashing dudes, working like a big guy. Mm-hmm. gets called up to the main roster. He couldn't figure it out. He was one of the only guys that did not have good things to say about working for Ohio Valley Wrestling.
That's right.
He felt they didn't train him to be a guy who goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Because when all you do is squash matches, it's hard to learn how to be a worker.
Sure.
So anyway, I thought it was cool. Rock and Rolls go in there. They give the jobber just enough to let them do a double team, and then they cut him off.
Yeah.
Unlike the Road Warriors, who just beat the hell out of guys, and then when it was time to do a singles match, when it was time to go back and forth, wasn't always the greatest thing in the world.
The other thing they did, this went longer than it needed to for an opening squash match on a 2-hour show. But the Rock and Rolls, they would do headlocks or chin locks or arm bars, but they wouldn't just lie there. They'd crank the hold on, they'd lean left, they'd lean right, and if they went like 20 seconds and nothing else to do, screw it, we're just going to let go of this hold and do something else. They were not just, time never froze in this match. There was always something going on. So it was fine, it went longer than it needed to, and they won with a double dropkick. So their match ends, the bell rings, and if you've never watched the show, the interview podium is just about 20 feet from the ring, maybe. And as soon as the bell rings, here's Jim Cornette, the Midnight Express, and Big Bubba to cut their promo. And Cornette starts by running down Morton's family. Your dad's an alcoholic, your mom's ugly. But the Rock and Rolls have nothing to win. They're outnumbered. They just walk to the back. So Cornette moves on, says Bubba, of course, in the Bunkhouse Stampede last year, he won more money than anybody else. He didn't win the most matches, but he won the most money. And money was more important. He said,
I still haven't figured this out yet.
I
How do you win the most money but not the most matches? Like some are more valuable than others?
Apparently.
It was almost, when Cornette was talking about it, it was almost like everybody chips in money.
Maybe it's a percentage of the house.
Well, I'm saying like it's like everybody puts in $100 or, it's wrestling, $1,000.
Yeah.
Everybody chips in 1,000. The winner gets the pot.
Yeah.
So if you have a 30-man, it's more valuable than a 20-man.
Sure.
So that could be a way to win the most money but not win the most matches.
Yeah.
Where is David Crockett to explain this to me? Where's this guy been?
We are left to draw our own conclusions and make our own guesses. Maybe it's based on the house. Maybe it's based on the numbers. Maybe it's based on time. The faster you're in the battle royal, the more money you get. I don't know the answer. So Dusty Rhodes is the new U.S. champion. As far as Cornette's concerned, Stan and Bobby, the U.S. Tag Team Champions, a much better representation of America. Maybe one of them is going to take that U.S. belt from Dusty. The best part of this is it's Cornette ranting and being a lunatic. It's Big Bubba being the statue behind him. And here's Stan and Bobby, as relaxed as can be. Stan's like leaning on the podium with his arms crossed, and Bobby's just standing there, probably waiting to get back to chew some more tobacco. And they're just fucking with each other silently the entire time.
What the hell else did they need to do?
They had nothing else to do.
That's what we got Cornette for. That's why everybody needs a manager.
Yes. But it made them seem cool because they were totally at ease. Michael P.S. Hayes and Gorgeous Jimmy is how the graphics read.
Do you know how many times on this show I have said, why aren't the Gladiators teaming up?
Yes.
Why aren't the Thunderfoots or Feet or whatever teaming up?
Yes.
Well, fucking on this show, we had it happen twice.
We had both Gladiators in a tag match here.
No. I mean, you're right, but for some reason, they're not the Gladiators. They're Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2.
That is true.
We've never seen a Gladiator 3.
No.
I mean, there's no proof there's more than 2 Gladiators, but they were very specific. It's Gladiator 1, Gladiator 2, and Thunderfoot 1 and Thunderfoot 2.
That's true.
That one I can see, because what are
they Thunderfoots?
Are they Thunder Feet?
Yes.
What the hell are they? So it's easier than that to say Thunderfoot 1 and 2, but this could have been the Gladiators. They didn't want to do that.
It's Gladiator number 1.
Gladiator 1, Gladiator 2.
And again, I hadn't thought that much, but yes, they are teasing perhaps the arrival of further Gladiators.
Could be. There could be 100 Gladiators.
So the Freebirds, as they were pushing this actually before Starrcade, but even harder now, they are the new top contenders to Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson for the World Tag Titles. And they beat up these 2 Gladiators, and Jimmy won with a brainbuster.
Yeah, top contenders for the World Tag Team titles. Can you even imagine?
Sure.
I guess.
Somebody has to be.
I just think of all the great tag teams, and I mean, they're not bad. But I would never say that one of the great tag teams of all time I mean, one of the great acts is the Freebirds. But can you really say one of the great tag teams of all time is Michael Hayes and Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin?
What you can say is that of the babyface teams on this roster at this time, they had gone the longest since their last loss.
I guess so.
I believe you can factually say that.
And I never thought about it, but that scaffold match was not for the titles.
No, it was a non-title scaffold match. Yes, it
was a non-title match where you win by throwing your goddamn opponents off a 20-foot scaffold.
You risked your life and
maybe
careers,
killing them.
Yes.
I would think the title should be on the line.
Well, I would counter that the championships should go to the best wrestling team.
No, Vinny. Let's say you and I have a scaffold match, okay? And I'm you're the YWF champion.
Sure.
Okay. Why would we have a non-title scaffold match? Because if I throw your ass as champion off that scaffold and you fall 20 feet, your career's over, buddy.
Oh, there's that.
You'll never be able to defend the title. Right?
They did. They lost the match and came back and wrestled here.
Well, they're not you.
They are not.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm just saying that someone could be seriously injured in a match like that. I feel a championship should be on the line. That's my thought.
So they show the finish of the Lex Luger Dusty Rhodes match from Starrcade. Like the last 5 minutes. Dusty won, as we recapped. They go back to the studio, and Tony gives...
Hold on, I got to talk a little bit about this match a second time. Can you believe how much they showed of this fucking horrific match?
It was kind of amazing.
Dude!
Like...
They showed 5 minutes, okay? 1 minute was exciting.
The end.
There were 4 minutes of fucking nothing happening. Now, with that said, the 5-minute version was better than the 16-minute version.
Sure.
I will give them that.
I'll also say, and this is kind of proving your point, I realized technology was different in 1987 than it is in 2018, but they had 48 hours to make a highlight package out of that match.
No.
But they just showed the last 5 minutes.
Just showed the
Start
last.
at point A.
And Dusty's DDT was not nearly as impressive the second time around. I thought it was cool the first time. Then they showed a replay, and I was like, you didn't even leave your feet.
He just fell down.
You pretended to jump and didn't. You're like the mighty Wilbur. We'll get to him.
So Dusty wins, and they go back to Tony in the studio. He says, folks, I've been around this sport for 4 years.
I've been around. It's been a rough 4 years covering this business. 4 years?
Yeah. And he says, I've seen these men in the ring, out of the ring. What you're about to see is a side of the dream that not many people have seen before, but I have. And they go to a press conference. Did you get that, Tony?
A press conference?
Okay.
He wanted to make sure you got that
finger
part
quotes.
of the... You know what it was? It was a Bellator or Strike Force.
Does Strikeforce not have press?
Well, there was a show I went to in Everett. I've told this story before. I think it was Strike Force. I'm pretty sure it was. But after the show was over, like it was me and one other guy in the press area.
That's more than they had here.
And I went up
That's
to him.
two more guys than they had here.
And I said, what time does the post-fight press conference start? And the lady in charge actually goes, what's that? They didn't have one.
That's outstanding.
So the press area here actually was bigger. They actually had a room.
They had a room. They had no press.
Yeah.
So what we saw was there's a table, and there's a space in the middle of the table. Sitting at either end, one end is Jim Crockett. The other end, I recognized him, but I didn't know his name. He was like their board of directors or something. Sandy Scott, maybe?
Yeah, that's right.
Sure it was.
I didn't even pay attention.
There's two guys behind him. One of them was Johnny
aghast.
Weaver. I didn't know the other guy. In walks Dusty, and there's some random guy holding up the U.S. title.
His second.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was.
No, his lackey.
Yeah.
So Dusty is all street clothes, showered, cleaned up. Now, he did have a baseball cap and sunglasses on, so you couldn't tell if he was bandaged or not. But they claimed this is a press conference the same night as Starrcade, just a few hours maybe after he won the U.S. title. It looked days later. He said it did a brief statement, took no questions from the press that was not there. He said he was as tired as he... First of all, actually, he talked about winning the match and said, someday the lessons I have taught Lex Luger will make him unbeatable. He took credit for everything Lex ever did after that point.
Yeah.
Then he says, I'm as tired as I've ever been. It might be time to lay this old body down. I'm going to go home and think about this. And if I have to retire in 1988, I'll be grateful for my entire career. And he gets up and he walks away, and that's that.
You know, I mean, it was kind of neat that he said, like, Lex is the best. He is the best athlete in this country. Mm-hmm. He learned lessons in that match with me that he will carry with him for the rest of his career. He may never lose again. So in putting the guy over, he did also
Put himself over.
It
actually should be studied. What do you think about
yes,
it?
exactly.
How to piggyback off someone else's push.
I mean, he did win.
And he did win.
Yeah.
Larry Zbyszko versus Bob Riddle. Okay.
This here is historic.
So I can't, in all honesty, say they did nothing for 5 minutes. Not literally nothing. There was like one lockup and maybe one push.
In pro wrestling terms, they did nothing.
Yes.
For 5 minutes.
Now the heat was great.
Yeah, for like 30 seconds.
Well, the other fans were into this. They were chanting things at Larry. He would shout back at them. They would call him a wimp or a chicken, and they talk about how they wanted Barry instead of Larry. And I was losing my mind. It was just going forever. And then they started to wrestle. I had a whole new appreciation for Larry Zbyszko and his ability to fill TV time with absolutely nothing to work with.
Yeah.
Bob Riddle, the worst wrestler of all time of the week, and it wasn't close. He fucked up every single thing they did, including the neck breaker at least twice, which is Larry's finish. So he tried it, it got fucked up. He tried it, it got fucked up. Tried it at least a third time, hit it, won, and moved on with his life. Hopefully to never wrestle Bob Riddle again.
So to recap, they did nothing for 5 minutes.
Yes.
They had a very brief heat, and then Larry had to do his finish at least 2 times. I saw 2 times, could have been 3, and then got the win.
Yeah.
This was horrible, Vinny. I want no defense of it.
Oh, what made you think I was defending it?
I don't know. You said the heat was awesome. I mean,
Well,
there was nothing awesome about this
The crowd was
match.
cheering loudly. That
Sure.
does not mean the same thing as anything about this was awesome.
Yes, nothing.
So then Larry goes to cut a promo. He says Barry Windham's time is up. He's going to take the Western States Heritage title.
Yeah.
He also starts to challenge Ric Flair. This was awesome, legitimately awesome. He begins to challenge Ric Flair, but Baby Doll interrupts him. Says, "What about Dusty Rhodes? He's the U.S. champion, and I know everything about him, how to beat him." Because you see, Larry is Baby Doll's pawn. Baby Doll has brought Larry in to get revenge on Dusty Rhodes.
Yes.
And she does not want him bothering with Ric Flair. He is there to challenge Dusty Rhodes. Even Wyndham, even the Western States thing, even that she just wants him to use as a stepping stone to get to Dusty.
I love when she said that Dusty wasn't, I quote, easy meat.
Well, I didn't catch that until right now.
I did.
But
You caught the important stuff. I caught easy meat.
I disagree. I think you caught the most
Hey, speaking of meat,
entertaining part.
it's actually cheese. So we had the moment on Thursday's show.
We did.
Okay, I've got to clarify this, Vinny. You don't understand. Okay,
Okay.
so I want to make this short and sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't think that his name was the Velveeta Dream.
Okay.
I knew it was the Velveteen Dream.
Sure.
My confusion was I thought the cheese was called Velveteen.
Okay.
I've got to make that clear. I did not spend 6 months going, why is he the Velveeta Dream?
No,
I knew he was Velveteen.
I knew you had his name right.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make that clear. And by the way, on the board, do not send cheese to my post office box. Don't do it. There's already a thread. Actually, it was Craig on Twitter was setting up my post office box.
Was he really?
Do not. You know why? It's because Craig wants the cheese. Because he knows I ain't going to eat the cheese. So if he gets a bunch of cheese sent to my post office box, he knows he's taking cheese home. Mm-hmm. Okay, don't do this, everybody.
For the record, I don't think that thinking Velveteen is cheese is any better than thinking his name was the Velveeta
Well,
Dream.
you should, Vinny. You've made mistakes like this before, I'm sure.
Oh, I've been plenty
Not
of mistakes in my
involving
life.
food, I'm sure, but maybe
Very rarely involving
exercise. I don't know.
So
Maybe you heard some exercise and you thought it was called something, but it was something else, you know? Because you don't go to the gym.
I see.
Got it? Okay.
I see where you're getting at.
All
Thank
right,
you,
let's
yes.
get moving here.
So they show a clip of Zbyszko wrestling Barry Windham, and Baby Doll passes Larry a foreign object. He clunks Barry in the jaw with it. He just smashed him with whatever this gimmick
That
was.
was one of those old gimmicks. It was probably like, something really soft wrapped up in athletic
Probably,
tape.
yeah. So he makes the cover. The ref counts 3. Larry wins, but outruns Tim Horner to stooge Zbyszko off. He says, no, this man used a foreign object. He reached his hand into Larry Zbyszko's trunks to pull out the gimmick.
What are you going to do? You got to.
I guess you got to.
Yeah. It's one of the rough things about this business.
I suppose so.
He's not going to reach into his own tights. If you want something out of Larry Zbyszko's trunks, you got to reach your hand in there yourself.
Okay. So the ref sees the gimmick. He disqualifies Zbyszko. The match is over. Larry's response is to beat the holy fuck out of Tim Horner and then stop and beat up Barry Windham some more too. Larry Zbyszko had a long career. He did a lot of really great stuff. He was a world champion in the AWA, main eventer, probably Bruno Sammartino's biggest enemy.
Terrible commentator.
He was a terrible
did it
commentator
all.
for a long time. I don't think he was ever put over as a monster any more than he was here. He was just a destroyer of worlds.
Guy reaching into his tights.
Well, that's true. Reaching into a man's trunks is a good way to get him to beat your ass.
Yeah.
And they go back to the studio and Larry rants about how all the champions are in danger now.
And ironically, after talking about reaching into a guy's tights, who comes out next?
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Yes.
Gets a standing ovation from this crowd.
It was so amazing.
They're on their feet.
They were
Yay!
so grateful. Like as much as they pretend to hate Flair, as much as they pretend to like Garvin, the world champion was champion of the world again. It was cause for celebration.
Well, it was.
It was. They show the finish of the Flair-Garvin match, which Flair, of course, is more than happy to watch. And then Flair goes off. He says, "That's right. For the 5th time, I walked that aisle, and I came back as world champion. And now I promise to be more obnoxious, more overbearing, and I'll teach everyone to learn to love it." Says he destroyed Ronnie Garvin. Tully and Arn destroyed the Road Warriors. Lex Luger suffered a minor setback. Nothing he can't fix tomorrow. Talked about how great all the Horsemen were. Said he's the captain of the team, and Lex, the captain, still got your back. He added he would not be surprised if Dusty retired because nobody would want to wrestle. Nobody would want to wrestle Luger twice.
This is an astounding fact. Later, Ron Garvin talks about how he'd been champion for, it was like 2 months or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The ratings for this fucking show, when Ronnie Garvin won the title, they were slashed by 40%.
It's amazing.
Okay, let me explain how amazing that is. Raw is doing about 3.2 million viewers on a good week. This would be like over the course of 2 months. They fell from 3.2 million viewers to 1.92 million.
Yeah, that would be bad.
So when Flair came out here and he vowed to be more obnoxious than ever, and he vowed to be more overbearing, make us all learn to love it, I was like, he's telling you to tell your friends to watch this fucking show again.
Yeah.
Because the Horsemen are back.
Yes.
Ron Garvin is no more. Luger's minor setback.
To be continued.
Oh, yeah. It'll be continued, all right.
Sting versus David Isley.
Is Sting regressed?
I was going to say...
What the fuck?
In all seriousness, was this the worst performance you've ever seen Sting do in a match?
Funny you should mention that. I just today rewatched Sting versus Jeff Hardy when Jeff was inebriated.
Yes.
Okay. I never watched that match a second time. Mm-hmm. I would get the TNA pay-per-view and it was gone.
Sure.
I'm done with this show. Mm-hmm. I watched this again. Jeff Hardy, at the time, I didn't realize how fucked up the guy was.
Okay.
Because it's Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
He's always a little weird.
Sure.
Okay. He was clearly not in a great state of mind, but he stumbled a little bit coming out. He got on the middle rope and did his deal. He danced around, he threw his shirt out and everything like that. He was... I've seen a lot worse.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way. I may have been in the ring with worse.
Sure.
But man, you look at Sting, this fucking guy's so mad.
Oh, yeah.
The look on his face, he is furious, okay? What I don't remember is, the match isn't really even that bad. They lock up, it goes fine. Sting kicks him and kind of bulls him into the corner, and Jeff does everything like he would normally do. I don't even know how to explain it except to say that for those of you that think this is the most appalling performance in a guy's that they've ever seen, watch more wrestling.
Yeah.
This ain't even close.
Yeah.
Some of the Kerry Von Erich matches we've seen they're way worse than Jeff was.
Yep.
But fucking Sting grabs a guy, hits the reverse DDT. What I don't remember is that Jeff tried to kick out.
Oh, yeah.
And Sting just held him down.
Yes.
It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Sting.
He holds an amateur win over Jeff Hardy.
He does. Crazy. The only amateur wrestling match he ever had.
Yeah.
Is the shoot.
And man,
that was his shoot.
Sting fucking shoots on this guy basically to win the match, and then he just gets up and stands there, and Jeff's all mad, and Sting doesn't like leave the ring because maybe there's going to be a problem.
Oh, no.
He just stays in the ring like, dude, if there's a problem, I will fucking punch you, dude.
Yes.
I'm not a shooter, but you know what? You're not a shooter, and you're fucked up.
Exactly.
It was awesome. I mean, it's complete bullshit. It's like a terrible moment in TNA history.
I think about that.
Yeah, it was
There
amazing.
is a point as Sting is going up the ramp and his music's playing, and you hear fans shout, "That was bullshit!" And Sting turns and says, "I agree."
Yeah.
Now.
And man, you see Borash doing the ring intros, and boy, is he just morose. He had to know.
Oh, everyone knew.
He's like, his head's hanging down, and he's like, the following contest is scheduled for one fall.
He knows that whatever is going to happen is not going to be good.
They send out Eric Bischoff just to get punched, like, hey, this will make everything better. Wrong!
No.
That was amazing. But anyway, that was better than this match.
Yes.
It could have been David Isley.
No.
I mean, I'm sure some of it was.
I mean, he didn't help, but...
No.
No, Sting was horribly sloppy here.
Yeah.
He had no idea what he was doing. He didn't seem to care. There was a point where he just decided, I'm going to drop a bunch of elbows. Doesn't matter where Isley is or what he's doing, I'm going to drop an elbow on him. So if Isley's face up, I'll drop an elbow. Face down, drop an elbow. Sitting up, I'll drop an elbow. Rolling over to the side, I'll drop an elbow. Getting to his feet, I'll drop an elbow. Goes on for a while. And then the worst part was actually, he goes to throw him into the ropes and give him the standing back elbow. This is, I mean, forget first day of wrestling school
Anybody
stuff.
could do this.
This is kids playing on the playground stuff.
A corpse could do this.
Yes.
A mannequin.
Sting throws this back elbow, and then if you're David Isley and you get hit with this elbow and you want to fall down, there was nowhere for you to fall where Sting wasn't.
Yeah, he was all over.
He managed to occupy the entire ring somehow on this very simple, very basic back elbow. He was horrible here. Eventually, he won with the Stinger Splash and the Scorpion. I reiterate, the worst Sting performance I've ever seen.
And by the way, he didn't really do that much, but when he goes to do his promo, he is gasping for breath.
And there was a break.
Yeah.
And he had 2 minutes or so, or maybe 3, to catch his breath. Now, I won't lie, I did love the promo.
Well, yeah, because he's out of his mind.
He's so out of his mind.
Like, I don't know. They didn't have Red Bull back then, but I mean, there was a lot of caffeine this guy had in him.
Sure.
He's out of control, randomly shrieks.
Very randomly.
He just shrieks and then he goes, you know, Tony, I need to do that at least once a night. It's a great tension reliever.
Great tension reliever, yes.
What?
And whenever he loses his train of thought, he just turns his back to the camera.
He starts screaming.
Screams some more, turns around, just picks up wherever he left off.
Pounding his chest like he's King Kong.
Does a lot. And he's somewhere in the middle of all this. Tony's got a point he's supposed to drag out of this man. And he tries to ask about the bunkhouse stampede. But Sting won't stop screaming.
Yeah.
So Sting has to ask, what was that?
Yeah.
And Shivani says something about the bunkhouse stampede, and Sting says, oh, that's right up my alley. That's another great tension release. And he beats his chest, and he howls, and he goes off. Sting was awesome.
He was a god to these people.
Yes. And then we go from that to Jim Crockett.
This is like the biggest contrast there's ever been in the history of wrestling. Like, Crockett is one of those mannequins I was just talking about that could have a better match with Sting. He's so low-key and quiet and morose.
His volume is a 2. His monotone is a 50. He speaks like this. He talks about Dusty Rhodes. I was very surprised he talked about retiring.
I was stunned. I almost fell out of my chair.
He did. I didn't believe him.
I'm sorry I used so much life. Would you like me to try again?
You may do your best.
I almost fell out of my chair. Nope.
You still
I can't do it.
You cannot. You cannot.
I need a dead body.
Yeah. Or a speak and spell or something.
I've had long talks with him.
That was closer. Midnight Express versus Thunderfoot number 1 and Thunderfoot
he did
number
say
2.
Friday afternoon, Dusty went to the Bunkhouse Stampede press conference, so he did return to do something. He will be defending his title at the Stampede. But that's all I can tell you. That's all I know. We'll find out more later.
Yes. Midnight Express versus the Thunderfoots. Cornette does this promo. We are so desperate for competition, he says. We weren't getting any competition from the other side. we had to go into our own locker room and take the Thunderfoots, former Central States Tag Team Champions.
Wow. Were they really?
That's what he said.
Oh, my God. Hold on a second.
I don't know what other tag teams, the Kansas Jayhawks. So, yeah. Basically saying we had to go into the heel locker room to get a match here. And then they just beat him bell to bell and won with a flapjack. So some competition.
You know, Vinny, remember when we used to watch Finding Bigfoot? Well, you did.
You did.
I think you watched one show.
Watched one or two, yeah.
But one of the big things on that show is they always refer to them as Bigfoots.
Sure.
And you think, should be big feet, right?
Okay.
Isn't that right? Foot, feet, Bigfoots?
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, the Thunderfoots, that's how they were billed as a team. Thunderfoots, not the Thunder Feet.
Okay.
So, just wanted to mention that. Let's see what it says here. David Isley, oh man, it's revealed their identities. I apologize. I'll stop right there. Let's see.
Does that mean he did double duty on the show?
Maybe.
I guess so.
Maybe. I don't see a title history here.
How about looking at the history of the Central States Tag Team titles?
Actually, every result here is from the 2000s.
Really?
Can you imagine? Joel Deaton. Let's see here. Yeah, look at that. Central States. NWA Central States Tag Team title. The Thunderfoots won that together as a team. As Dave Deaton, he won other titles as well.
The Midnight Rockers held this title in 1985.
Really?
Yeah. Traded with the Batten Twins. Moondog Moretti, former champion.
Central States?
Yeah.
Wow.
Team with Bobby Jaggers.
Holy smokes. Guy's a legend.
The Mod Squad. Pork Chop Cash. The final champions in 1988, Rick Patterson and Stevie Ray.
Not that Stevie Ray.
I'm certain not that Stevie Ray. Probably a couple of Stevie Rays, it's not.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lex Luger here.
So J.J. Dillon and Lex Luger come out for a promo.
I gotta talk about this Luger guy. This Lex Luger here was fucking... Well, first off, his sweater sucked. That's beside the point.
Well, that's why I took it off.
He comes out here, and he cuts his promo, and he congratulates Dusty, talks about all of the titles the Horseman left with, except for himself, he said. Says, I had control of that match. Everybody knows that there are wrestlers and there are superstars in this sport. And he says, Dusty, you are a superstar. Ric Flair's a superstar, and so am I. It's a very important line, by the way. Tears off his sweater, screams about how he learned something every time he wrestles. He will rise to a level that nobody has ever seen. This fucking promo was great.
Oh, yes.
What happened to Lex Luger?
Don't know.
I watch these shows and I'm like, how is this guy not a Hall of Famer?
He was great.
And you know what? We watched the 90s and he was so fucking over. Like those early Nitro shows.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. What went wrong? He was over in that War Games we just watched?
Remember the night he beat Hogan for the title on Nitro?
Oh my God, it was insane.
Yes. And yes, this was a amazingly great promo. And it had to be because this was 48 hours after losing his first title.
Yeah.
He had to redeem himself. He had to reestablish himself. He had to recover. He did great. He was as big a star as he was here, maybe bigger than he had been when he won the title. So great work on his part. I also like when he takes off his shirt and flexes and says it's time to show off the merchandise.
Yeah.
It's always a great line. Steve Williams versus Tommy Angel.
May I?
Sure.
Far be it from me to criticize Dr. Death Steve Williams. But he went for way too many covers. He's in there with Tommy Angel. He covered Tommy Angel like 3 times, and Tommy Angel kicked out.
Sure.
And I was like, do you realize you're weakening your own character and your own performance and your moves and everything? Why is Tommy Angel kicking out of anything Dr. Death does? He should have walked in there and smashed this guy and then beat him. Instead, he rolls him up. Tommy Angel kicks out.
Yeah. He goes in there, and Dr. Death's whole thing is he does terrifying power spots, and he does football stuff, because that was his gimmick.
That about covers it.
Then he gets in here, and he begins doing arm drags and drop kicks like a luchador. And they look good. He was grabbing this guy and throwing him around by the arm. But it was strange to watch Dr. Death wrestle like this. And eventually, he hit a press slam, a football tackle, which Tommy Angel somehow managed to fuck that up. Then he hit the Stampede and won. He also got a promo. And in Steve Williams' mind, there is no controversy in his title match with Barry Windham. He had done what any athlete would do with gold on the line. Talked about football teams doing whatever it took to win. He did whatever it took to win. Offered Windham a rematch whenever he wanted. And then he moved on to the Bunkhouse Stampede. So there might be 30 or 35 men in one ring, and it won't matter. I'll come out on top.
No one knows.
No one knows.
It's a great mystery. What's going on here?
He said, in his words, he was the fossil of the UWF.
Yeah.
It's dead. He's a museum piece now.
Yeah, but he's a champion.
But he was still a UWF champion, and he could still prove how tough he was.
Yeah.
Ronnie Garvin came out for a promo.
Oh, man.
You want to have this one?
I will. I'll just do the beginning. This had to be a rib. Ron Garvin stands in front of us. His first interview since losing the NWA World Heavyweight title to Ric Flair, clean in the middle of the ring. These are his exact words to begin this promo. He says, "Well, you know, Tony, I can tell you, I had a bad ankle, bad ribs, I had a fever, I had the flu. But I ain't gonna make no excuse because I was perfectly healthy. I felt good."
That's what he said.
What? I mean, first off, he's talking about how he doesn't want to make any excuses. But he begins with a litany of excuses. 4 excuses. A bad ankle, bad ribs, a fever, and the flu. Then he says, I'm not going to make any excuses. And then on top of that, he says I was perfectly healthy.
I think...
He's a babyface.
Okay.
What's happening?
I understand why you are confused. He did a poor job of delivering his message.
You sound like you're going to defend this.
I'm going to explain what I think he was trying to get at.
Okay.
I think he was trying to take a shot at other people who blame their losses on bad ankles and bad ribs and the fevers and the flu. He said, I could say all these things, but I'm not going to.
Well, he didn't say that, Vinny. But thanks.
I did my best.
For trying to save
Did we mention his outfit?
Oh, I'm still hung up on Luger's sweater, so.
Oh, Luger's sweater was nothing.
And then
compared
Sullivan's
to this.
shirt later.
So Ronnie Garvin just lost the world title 48 hours ago. Comes out here and the whole gimmick was he was every man, but before he was every man who would at least do laundry. He's out here in this trucker cap. It's got the U.S. flag and the Confederate flag. It says American by birth, Southern by the grace of God. He's from Canada. He's also got the big, thick denim vest over his polo. This does not look.
You didn't like it?
No.
Nah, it sucked.
So he says when a football team loses the Super Bowl, they can fire the coaches and all the players. But he's got no coach and he's the only player. So he'll just have to run twice as far and swim twice as far and train twice as long. At this point, the Freebirds came out to save the day.
So he doesn't understand the concept of overtraining.
I guess not.
He's fucked now.
The Freebirds come out to save the day. This promo was going off a cliff. So Michael Hayes says, listen, I've seen all the big matches, all the big fights. I've never had the feeling I had watching that Flair Garvin match like I did that night.
Oh, yeah?
Well,
I'm skeptical.
Says, in his eyes, Ronnie is still the champion.
No.
He thanked Ronnie, in fact, for exposing all of Ric Flair's weaknesses and vulnerabilities.
A sunset flip off the top? That's the only one I can come up
And
with.
chopping.
Yeah.
And so they all want a shot at Flair. Jimmy congratulates his brother. You proved Flair can be beaten. You proved nothing's impossible. So Hayes wants a shot at Flair. Jimmy Garvin wants a shot at Flair. Ronnie Garvin, who just lost his championship and has not yet gotten a rematch, says, hey, any one of us might do it. Who knows? Good luck, Flair.
I just love
He
when...
didn't give a shit.
I just love when Hayes is going on and on about how I want a shot at this title, and Garvin's just he's just sitting there with his head down.
You know who he was? This just hit me. And I think it's actually before that. Ronnie Garvin was Buster Douglas. He had his late career Miracle World Championship win. It didn't last long. He lost right away again and faded away. And he was done.
Yeah.
That was this. So we watch these shows. Weeks go by with nothing but squashes. And then we may get one Ric Flair match. Or like when Ric Flair randomly said, I'm going to have a great match with Mike Jackson. And he did. So the screen comes up, Ron Simmons versus Rick Steiner.
Holy smokes.
Well then.
Well, they didn't have a finish, so they could just have the match.
They did not.
Didn't have to beat either guy.
So they start, and it was funny listening to Shivani call them youngsters over and over again. I'm pretty sure Ron was in his 30s here, I think, or close.
I don't know if he was that old.
Yeah. So it's two big, scary-looking mofos.
That is not doing justice to the size of these men.
Okay.
They were enormous.
They were monsters.
I cannot believe the size of Rick Steiner. He's not quite as big as Scott Steiner in the 1999 Nitros we're watching, but fuck, he's close.
He's close.
And this was a decade earlier.
And he's way more mobile.
Yes.
If that Steiner in the 90s, the Scott Steiner in 99 is very, very scary, but if you're 10 feet away, you're safe. If you're 10 feet away from this Rick Steiner, he'll run you down and tear your head off.
Simmons was 29.
Almost in his 30s.
And he had debuted in 86. So they were youngsters in this business,
I
Vinny.
suppose so.
Yeah.
So they're doing very basic stuff. It's mostly headlocks and the occasional tackle. And then Kevin Sullivan comes out in
this fucking shirt.
A very, very red shirt.
It is so red. He looks like the Kool-Aid Man.
I suppose
That's
so.
how red it was. What was he wearing? Why? And then no pants on.
Yeah. The always creepy t-shirt over wrestling trunks, or shirt over wrestling trunks, so it looks like you're nude. Yes. So Sullivan begins to shout at Rick, distracting him. He's giving him instructions, which I should have written down. Did you write any of these down?
I didn't write any of them down.
They were just, it was not quite Mark Curry yelling smash him, but it was close to just as useless as those instructions could be. So Rick finally hits a power slam, but instead of making a cover, he stops to stare at Sullivan and ask what he's shouting about. So Simmons pops up, hits a schoolboy for a 2 count. Steiner pops up out of that, just clobbers Simmons right in the balls. Just nutshots him. Ref don't care. Ref's Teddy Long, by the way. So
hadn't put 2 and 2 together.
I guess not. So Rick's yelling at Sullivan more. He throws Simmons over the top rope, also not a DQ when it should be. And then Steiner and Sullivan just leave. And Simmons gets back in. I assume Sullivan and Steiner counted out. I'm not sure. The bell did ring. And then Simmons' hand was raised. So he must have. I guess it could have been a DQ for one of those violations.
We've talked way too much about this match.
All I know is this could have been way, way, way better, but it leads to the creation of the Varsity Club.
Yes.
So that is awesome.
That is coming. Speaking of referees, so this Roman Reigns deal with this Richard Rodriguez, who is in prison and is promising all these videos. The filmmaker that he's working with is named Johnny Bravo.
Really?
Yeah, Johnny Bravo.
Uh-huh.
So I watched TNA for the first time on Thursday, and they got a referee named Johnny Bravo.
How about that?
Yeah. It's a conspiracy.
It is.
Wasn't
that a cartoon?
Yeah. It seems to be like there's 50 Johnny Bravos now.
It was time for the Spam Slam of the Week.
You want to tell your spam story here? You went to Hawaii and had spam?
That's the whole story.
It's disgusting. Come on.
Tony asked when the last time I had spam was. I answered his question.
Yeah, the answer to that question should always be never. Don't reveal that information. Spam? Disgusting. They do like spam in Hawaii, though. They're big spam addicts, I've noticed. Everywhere you go, you can add spam.
Yeah.
It's weird. Why?
Why are you yelling at them and not me?
I don't know.
I've had it once in the past 30 years. They eat it every day.
No, I am yelling at you, not them.
Or yeah, anyway.
You're not Hawaiian.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not.
You're a poser eating that spam.
God.
All right, let's get going here.
So, the Spam Slam of the Week was Dr. Death doing a press slam, which they didn't actually show. They showed him doing the lift and not the slam. Arn Anderson and
Well,
Tully...
the slam's the easy part. The lift is the difficult
That's
part.
actually true.
Yeah.
Gravity will take care of the rest.
Yeah.
Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard versus Rocky King and Chance McQuaid. Horseman won quickly. Spinebuster, slingshot, suplex, pin. And then it was time for the real important stuff in this show.
Oh, man. No subtlety here.
No.
None.
All the horsemen are out there. Tully, Arn, Lex, or Lug, as they called him sometimes. Flair, and JJ. Now, everyone else has already talked, so this is all Arn and Tully doing the talking. And Tully goes first, and all Tully does is make fun of the Road Warriors for losing, say they hung their head and walked out, probably went back to the gym to work on their bench press more. And then it's Arn's turn to talk. He says, you know what? There was a time in my life where I didn't have one of these. And he holds up the tag team title belt. He says, I did whatever it took to get these and get one of these back and hold on to it. But now I can't help but notice there's a void in the group.
Oh, man.
And they cut to Lex, who takes off his sunglasses and listens intently.
And I mean, the camera's on him for like a full minute as he looks at Arn with a look on his face
Now,
like, are you talking about me, motherfucker?
They had this in the wide shot because Lex is standing right behind him.
Yeah.
They could have just stuck with this. You could have still see everything Arn did and everything Lex did. They had to cut to the close-up for that. So
just in case you were an idiot.
You never know. You never know. So Arn says there's some people out there who want to be great wrestlers and champions, and there's some people who want to be stars. And they want to go to make commercials. They want to go to Hollywood. And he talks about this for a while, how important it is to be a wrestler and not a star. He says the Horsemen are a well-oiled machine. And sometimes one of those gears goes flying off, and it's up to the rest of us to get that gear back on track. Now, before this can go any farther, Ric Flair steps in, the captain of the team, as he called himself.
He notices there's a problem brewing here.
I'm going to shut this down right away.
And he jumps in and just gives his usual Ric Flair happy pep talk.
Yes, he says, we're all in this together. We're all still the best. And he again promises Lex that he'll get back on track someday, sooner than later. And he gets them all to do the Horseman handshake where they all stack hands and say Horseman forever or whatever. But Arn never looks Lex in the eye. And you're thinking about this, and I was thinking about this like as we were recording this show. Lex got into the Horsemen by basically sticking his nose in their business. And then to make room for him, they kicked out Arn's uncle or cousin or whatever he was supposed to be. So they kicked out Arn's family to make room for Lex.
Yeah.
And now here Lex goes. He's the only one of them who drops the ball on the biggest show of the year to their biggest rival. No wonder Arn's pissed.
Man,
This all makes sense. But they did do the Horseman handshake, and they all left together. It's a slow burn, a slow build. Speaking of slow, Mike Rotundo.
Hey.
There's lots of guys here who don't have their mind on wrestling. It's going to come back and haunt them. I still think I can out-wrestle anyone. I can take their strap.
Yeah. Sweet.
And then it was time for this main event.
Holy shit. Mighty Wilbur, Barry Windham, and Ricky Santana. First off, look at these teams. The Mighty Wilbur, Barry Windham, and Ricky Santana against Ivan Koloff, the Warlord, and the Barbarian. So, we have not had to see Wilbur doing long competitive matches yet.
No, he did like an elbow and a splash.
He's fucking horrible.
Unwatchable.
God bless this guy. At one point, he did a big splash, okay? I want you to imagine, let's just say he's 6'4", okay?
Okay.
It was like he was in a cave that was exactly 6'4", so there was no room whatsoever to go up. He hit the ropes, and he jumped, but went down.
I don't know.
How?
I don't know.
Like, I couldn't even figure out the physics of this.
Let's not even gloss over how bad he looked hitting the ropes, by the way.
It was like he went off a diving board. But you know how you jump on the diving board and it goes up and down?
Yeah.
It was like when it went down, he jumped.
Yeah.
Not when it went up to propel him.
Or it broke.
Yeah, it was fucking the weirdest thing I ever saw.
So there's awful brawling going on throughout this.
Hideous.
And Tony's trying to push it as, this is the kind of action you'll see at the Bunkhouse Stampede.
Cancel my order.
Thank you for the warning. I won't go. So
Wilbur's in the corner. Number one, Paul Jones grabs his foot. Wilbur cannot escape. He's grabbed his foot with one hand.
there was a point here where it was Wilbur and Ivan in the ring. And it's just miserably bad stuff. But as we have mentioned, Ivan Koloff probably worked with more shitty wrestlers than anyone else. So for him, it's just another day at work.
Oh, yeah.
But Perry's watching this one across the ring. You can almost see him just say, fuck this. And he gets in the ring, and he tells Wilbur to leave, and he starts wrestling in his place.
Yeah.
No tag, no tease of a tag.
Nope.
Just I'm wrestling, you get out. It goes on for a while. There's more awful brawling. A chain gets involved.
Hey, Bunkhouse, we got to plug the Bunkhouse Stampede, dude. We got to get a chain in there.
We had 1 minute of competent wrestling. It was Barbarian versus Barry Windham.
Think about that.
Which was really, really good.
The ball bearing in the 1 minute of competent wrestling in this entire match.
It looks spectacular compared to the rest of this. And then Santana gets a hot tag, and the show goes off the air with a match still in progress.
Yeah. What?
Well, that was lame.
That was horrible.
This show went off on a cliff at the end there.
It really did.
But all in all, from start to finish,
they got a direction.
they have everyone has new stuff.
Yeah. You watch
Great.
Raw after a pay-per-view and like usually it's just, well, we're going to keep going.
Yeah. And it's
We're
been that
going to
way for
redo
years.
a bunch of matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the big show's over. It's time to build we got to plant some seeds first.
Yes.
But we can also build some new programs and we got some new stuff coming and that's exciting.
The only thing that's still going on from the from Starrcade is the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express still hate each other.
Yeah.
Which means, okay, so we're going to get those two teams in lots of matches? Great.
Well, I mean, that'll go on forever anyway.
That'll also go on forever.
It'll never end.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I enjoyed this show.
Yeah, good show and not a good show, Nitro. I've already been getting the messages about Nitro. This is the show, I believe, where they go a full hour with no professional wrestling. And then we got Hogan and Nash on commentary. It's just a train wreck. So Tuesday will be the Retro Raw Nitro show. We'll go over all of the matches on those two with Craig. And then Thursday, the Thursday Night Potpourri, Granny, and NXT. Granny was over here today, Vinny. She's sweating, trying to figure out who your opponent is going to be.
That was the first thing she said to me.
Yeah.
I'm still nervous.
Well,
I don't know if you heard this, and maybe I shouldn't spoil it. I won't spoil it.
no, tell me, because I may have heard it too.
Well, she said maybe it'll be Vinny versus the Carjacker.
I heard that
Yeah,
today.
it's okay.
Yeah. I kind of threw it at her a little bit.
I see.
Because,
Okay.
no, she said, didn't Vinny get robbed once? I believe that's the term she used. And I said, well, he was carjacked. And then, of course, like, the whole family's there. And they're like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
So I had to retell the entire story.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, just very quickly, Vinny was at a light. Guy came over, pulled open your door.
Yeah.
I guess he did the old...
No, first he opened the door and began just. Do we have time to tell the whole story now?
Well, we better because
Okay.
it's going to play into this.
I'm stopped
this
at
deal.
I'm stopped at a light, and obviously my door is unlocked, and I'm just sitting there, and the car next to me, the door opens, and I was very confused by this. This isn't how often happens. I should add, it's rush hour.
Yeah.
We're in Shoreline, Washington. Cars everywhere. Highway 99, very busy street. And the door next to me, the car next to me opens. A man steps out. He opens my door. He begins to punch me in the face.
So there was an accomplice.
Somebody was driving. I don't know whose car. To this day, I don't know whose car he was. Who was driving the car he was in.
Okay, but I mean, it wasn't like he got out of his shitty car to steal your shitty
No,
car.
he got on the passenger side.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he an accomplice.
Yeah, so he managed to punch me in the face. My foot comes off the gas, and I'm thinking, well, I don't want to rear in the car in front of me. And clearly, I was not thinking clearly because
You
I should
should
have
have, yeah.
rear in the car in front of me. So I put the brake on. I put the parking brake on. At the time, I had my ponytail. So he's got my hair all wrapped up in his fist, and with his right hand, he's punching me with his left.
I don't mean to laugh, Vinny,
Yeah.
but like the idea that he's in the middle of assaulting you and you're,
Yeah, no.
it's crazy.
Here's the truth. I do remember this. I went into full nerd mode, and I said, quote, to the man carjacking me, "Excuse me, sir, I wish you'd stop punching me." It didn't work. He kept on punching me.
Damn it.
So he's yanking me out of the car. My seatbelt's still on. So really, he's just pulling my neck over here.
Sure, yeah.
Eventually, I get my seatbelt off. I have my handbrake on. The door opens. I go on my hands and knees. He's still punching me. And I start to get up. And then,
Where the fuck was everybody else in traffic?
useless.
Fucking idiots.
Society sucks. So then, as I started to get to my feet, and he realized his punching strategy was not working, he went to plan B, which was to put two fingers, I assume 2 fingers,
Sure.
at the back of my head and say, "I'll shoot you." And I thought, I'm driving a Toyota Tercel with 106,000 miles on it. I can see the frame coming through the floorboard of this car. I'm not risking a bullet for this car. That's stupid.
Sure, yeah.
And so I put my hands up, and he let go, and he got in my car, and the light turned green, and he drove away. I had a fat lip and a black eye, big whoop. So the only thing anyone did was, I said, one car stopped to make sure I was right.
That's right.
But the car behind me pulls up, window rolls down, and there's a woman driving, middle-aged, maybe a senior citizen woman. She says, "Did you know that guy?" I said, "Never seen him before in my life." And she said, "Oh my God." And she drove away, leaving me at the side of the road. Yeah. And there was a cop 3 cars back, and everything happened.
What the hell was he doing?
Well, he was 3 cars back.
Why? It's not that far. It's not like he was in another state.
I can take for. He didn't see it. That's fine. Mm-hmm. So the guy drives my car like a mile down the road and wraps around a telephone pole.
Sure, yeah.
The carjacking itself, honestly, was like, in hindsight,
that was at least your problem.
Yeah, that was an adventure.
Yeah.
I got in a fight, took an ass kicking, and got up. Great. Trying, because my cell phone, keys, duffel bag, ID, all that was still in the car.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do anything until I get that stuff back. So I ended up spending the night at a buddy's house, and I go to get stuff out of the car the next day, and they won't let me see it because it's evidence.
Oh.
So I spent all day at the pound, or trying to...
Evidence.
Yeah, they're trying to get access to my own car just to get my stuff. And it seriously, I was there when they opened at 8, and at like at 4:45 that night, they said you can go get your stuff. Keeping in mind...
What the hell did this guy plan in this car that they needed for evidence for that long?
Keep in mind, here's the case. It's my car.
He took it.
It was stolen. They found him in the car wrapped around a telephone pole. I'm not a lawyer or a prosecutor. This case seems open and shut to me.
That covers most of the bases right there.
So I got my stuff back, and then your favorite moment is that...
Well, it's just preposterous.
Is that, car's totaled, obviously. So I get the check back from the insurance company, and I get the statement from the bank, and column A does not add up to column B.
Oh, my God.
And I was now out of car and in debt by a few $1,000s.
Yeah, you owed money.
I was underwater on the car.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yes.
Well, that's the story, everybody.
So, yeah, that was my carjacking story. And again, the actual carjacking was fine.
Well, it's a good thing he didn't wrestle for Bill Watts. Or
Bill Watts
man, oh man, that would have been the end of you.
Yeah.
He could have killed you, yeah. He would have had a real gun.
He would have had a real gun.
Yeah. Well, there you go, everybody. On that note, Thursday we'll find out who Vinny's opponent is in Granny's story. Maybe it'll be the carjacker. Maybe it'll be somebody else. She's struggling, Vinny. Can you imagine? You were so worried, and she's struggling to find an opponent for you.
Oh, she's got plenty of time. Time on her hands.
So anyway, that's it, everybody. Remember, video.f4wonline.com if you want to watch this show. You can check out our shirts, f4wonline.com/shirts, and that is it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Adios.